Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. I'm Brad. Today we got a special guest, Kyle, the THPN manager, the Hockey Podcast Network manager. Kyle, how the heck you doing, man?
Been good. Been hectic a little bit. Obviously heading towards playoffs, but yeah. Other than that, we're rocking and rolling here.
Yeah, and you run it's Flames Cast is the podcast. You're
Run / very lazy with it / my ranting platform.
Well, dude, hey, you should have heard me yesterday, dude. I was like, I just need to just wring my feelings out because again, we just talked about before, like the Red Wings are in like a weird position of, will they, won't they, right? Are you gonna kiss the girl or are you not, is the comparison that I said. It was
right.
Like, it's the anticipation and everything. So just to give you a quick, if people who are listening, a quick synopsis of what we're gonna do first half, we're gonna talk Red Wings because my Red Wings, and we're going to the game. I'm going to the game tonight, so I gotta hype them up and talk them up and everything. And then we'll cover some of what the Flames direction looks like and everything. So we are not going to be talking about Tortorella firing, although he is my absolute favorite coach, dude. I love me some Torts. So let's jump into the Red Wings. So you're a Western Conference team. Red Wings used to be a Western Conference team. I imagine you're probably happy there. Well, I guess when they left, I guess it was. At that point there was a bygone era at that point, but it was it was the decline already started. But
yeah,
with being a Western Conference team, and we know the East is covered a lot more in general in the NHL. So what is the vibe when you hear Detroit Red Wings? What do you see? Like, what are you hearing? What are you feeling?
I don't think it's changed really in the last couple of years, just because it feels like they've kind of just been staying on the same boat, so to speak. And you mentioned I guess they mentioned the Yzerman plan and all that. And, you see Larkin getting locked down long term, and, Cider, I think he's also locked down.
Cider got 7, Raymond got 8. Yeah.
Yeah. And Raymond as well. So I thought like those were key pieces, but, you wonder just the other pieces that they're really missing. I think goaltending is starting to become a major factor in the league right now. I mean, I'm not speaking here with the Flames, but you just take that for example, right? And all of a sudden you get one goalie who's a rookie, possible rookie candidate, and you suck at scoring goals, but you're finding yourself still in competing for a playoff spot. So sometimes like that's all it takes. And Detroit, like that's kind of the feeling where you need to kind of find your lockdown long-term goaltender, which has been the issue for, I'm assuming, the last couple of years. And, at some point here, like everything's got to kind of mesh. You also have to have that kind of vibe within the locker room as well. And there's a lot of things that you need, but I think it all kind of generally starts with goaltending. And that's where I feel like the Red Wings have been missing for the last few years. And it's tough to get, and it's tough to nurture. And sometimes you just got to see, you got to take the long approach at that. And I think that's kind of where they have to start looking at least. But it's going to be interesting with them down the stretch.
Yeah, just to give you a preview of what they're looking at right now in the AHL, they have Sebastian Costa, who drafted 15th overall in 2021 draft. Of course, they gave Dallas Wyatt Johnston in that one, dude. That was brutal. So I mean, clearly he's popping up, but we know that goalies and defensemen take a little longer, right? And so in the AHL, in 35 games, he's got a 2.38 goals against average and a 913 save percentage. So and he's had a 913 the last year as well. So like we're starting to see some promise. We just saw Trey Augustine is killing it with Michigan State as well. So and by the way, two wildly different goaltenders. So Costa's more that high athleticism, gonna make the big save, really good left to right. And then you have Trey Augustine, a little smaller, a little more UC Saros in the sense that he's calculated, a little more technical, and really starting to really pop off. And actually, there's rumors of him coming to the Grand Rapids Griffins from Michigan State University. So like this year for the playoffs, which is like crazy exciting, especially because Costa just got called up to the big league for the Denver game because they saw Mrazek got concussion, Talbot tweaked something, and Lyon just played a back-to-back. So because he was in relief for Mrazek. So yeah, I agree. Goaltending is not there now, and it is on its way slowly, right? We're hoping for a Dustin Wolf, a Calder candidate, phenomenal.
It takes time though, right? With goaltending like that, it took Dustin Wolf probably almost 4 years, right, to be where he's at now, right? And he was drafted 7th round, right? And that's the same thing. Like, there's a lot of high hopes there for a guy like Trey Augustine, who has had lots of experience there at the World Juniors for the U.S. And you hope that he gets called up there to play for the AHL team a little bit. And you want to start getting him to play more meaningful games as well, especially in those type of playoff games now coming up. And you want to take those kind of baby steps, and you need to keep kind of moving up the ladder a little bit. So it's curious to see how well he'll do.
Yeah, and just mentioning Trey Augustine as well. With the Michigan State, he has in 29 games a 201 goals against average, which is sick. Almost under 2 goals against average, which is crazy, and a 927 save percentage. I mean, that doesn't take away from Leshunov being part of the Michigan State program as well, or any of those prospects. But like, he is killing it. And as Red Wings fans, we're salivating right now. I mean, when you have Talbot for this year, next year, and Mraz for next year, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's not the most exciting.
When do they get their spotlight, right? Like,
well, and ideally they pop off right away, like a Dustin Wolf, right? But it could be a Spencer Knight situation where it takes a little time. It's slower, right? And Sebastian Cossa, again, first round pick, he's mentioned Spencer Knight. He's like, what I want to do is what Spencer Knight did. I want to get into the league as early as possible and really start to show what I can do. By the way, this kid is so confident. I think he's 6'6". I have a picture with him and my wife, and I'm like, dude, this kid is just a monster. And again, he's 6'6", dude. So, and in comparison to Trey Augustine, who is 6'1", like just you have two way different goalies, right? But it's exciting. We're definitely starting to see that maturity start to happen, which I'd love to see. So, I agree. So when you're looking at it as well, I mean, because I think one of the things that we're looking at as a Red Wings fandom is that there's a lack of superstar quality, right? And there's only so many superstars in the league, but you look at the Red Wings, and one of the things that we as Red Wings fans talk about is that we got screwed on the draft. The highest we've drafted in our rebuild is 4th. And then it was once, right? And in that abysmal 2020 year where a playoff team got Lafreniere, Lucas Raymond's working out. I'm not complaining about that, but it's so
how the lottery works sometimes, but I get it.
Of course that happened. And it was rumored that Yzerman called Gary and Ilitch's, who are the owners of the Red Wings, called Gary Bettman and said, we got to change this. And which is the next year they changed the lottery system such that, which is why you can't move up 10 spots right anymore. Yes, right. Exactly. So again, I'm happy for the league. I'm just bitter as a Red Wings fan, but looking at with the Red Wings, like the one thing we are missing is that superstar, and Raymond's looking that he might pop off to be that. Which is exciting. Most siders looking like he could be. NHL posted that he is a top 20 defenseman in the league. This is back in the fall, which I'd love to see. He was 20th, but he was called top 20, and I'm like, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. I don't know if I agree, but I think he's definitely has a good trajectory. That is definitely one of the things that we're looking at, because when I look at the Calgary Flames, I look at some of the guys you guys have coming up. It's riches, right? And like I said, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but. So I mean, I think because I don't remember when we played each other. I think you guys beat us. Twice, I believe it was.
You got us in Detroit. I think that was overtime. You got us in Detroit. Then I don't know what happened in Calgary. I think we got you. I can look back. I'm actually on the schedule. But you got us in overtime, and then but is that the only time we played you guys? Oh no. Oh yeah, and then we got you 3-1. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So close enough games. So, well, and it's interesting because looking at the comparison, huh?
It's a draw, basically.
Yeah, it's a draw. Honestly, I think you guys got it because we got the overtime win. So it's like you guys you get the 55%. We'll get the 45.
There you go.
So,
all right.
So yeah, and I'm looking, and I with the Wings, I wanted, because to me, like, again, I'm talking about Yzerman, like when you saw the trade deadline, like what did you think with the lack of Yzerman's moves and what happened with that? Because you move out a 25-year-old former first rounder, you get back a Craig Smith and a Mrazek. Is that something that, like, I guess, what would you look at teams again? The reason I'm asking these is that you look at someone like the Islanders. Oh, you should sell. Colorado, you should buy. Like you look at these teams, and as hockey fans, we have a general gist of what the direction is. Buffalo, except for Buffalo, we don't know what's happening in Buffalo.
Yes.
But when you think about the Red Wings, you're like, okay, like you guys are fighting for a playoff spot. Like, what in your head going into trade deadline did you think that they should have done?
I think like because if you look back at the deadline, it was so close in that wild card race that you had like 20,000 teams or whatever, like close to like within 2 points of each other, so to speak. So like, they were in it. And I think like you have to have the mindset of kind of going for it a little bit. And even if it means getting a sort of rental player, because you can stockpile draft picks all day long, but a lot of the teams who've said, screw it, we don't need a second round pick anymore, a third round pick anymore, whatever it may be, the value for some of these guys. You can simply just, you don't need them. You can get rid of them. And if it means getting a rental player, then that's fine. Like you need to find some resemblance of it working. Right. And so that's why when you get close to, when you're so close for a playoff spot, you want to be able to, as soon as you get in, you're in.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the biggest thing is that as soon as you get in, we've seen it however many times where Florida did it 2 years ago as an 8 seed. They go to the Stanley Cup final and nobody saw that coming. We've seen it with the Kings. We saw it with the Devils as a 6 seed, like
St. Louis coming out of
everyone talking about nowhere. That that's
the
thing. Like you can get hot at the right time. And man, St. Louis is doing it again all of a sudden where they've won whatever it is. They're like 9-1-1 in their last 11 games or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you have to realize that at some point, like you have to kind of make that push and you have to be a little bit aggressive. So, it's good that they did something, but it wasn't nearly as close to what people were probably thinking and what they would have liked to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and that's my issue is that it felt like I did the video I did yesterday was like Carson Soucy went for like a 3rd round pick, right? Like Tanev was for a 2nd, right? Like, are these big movers and shakers? No, but it's showing that you have some confidence in this, right? I mean, for a 5th round, take it or leave it, Kyle Dubas and his moves and everything, but he picked up 2 cap dumps for a 5th round pick.
Right.
And I'm like, 2 guys under 25, 26, like, you couldn't try these guys out. Like, like you couldn't move off of a bad contract. So that's one of the things is we're seeing thankfully Yzerman doesn't sign guys bad contracts that are crazy long, but the problem is there's a lot of like stuffiness in the sense of like, we have an Andrew Kopp who just went down. He's starting to now be a little bit more worth it, but overall it's not been worth his contract. Compher did not live up to his contract last year, is definitely not doing this year. But Justin Hall, which I thought was a terrible signing in the first place, 3 years at $3.4 million. I'm like, ugh. Jeff Petrie, like, and so it's a little bit of these where you're, and I the one thing I'll flex with Yzerman is that his drafting in the 1st round has been phenomenal. I mean, we have a Raymond, Sider, Edvinson, Casper. These guys are these are all 1st round picks that are hitting. Yeah, I will say they are lacking on some of the depth ones, and that's kind of some of the frustrations. But we're kind of at that. It feels like we're at by the way, I'm also asking, I'm also informing you that listen, there's a tipping point, and where these guys are starting to graduate. We're starting to see that with Albert Johansson. It was a 2nd round pick in 2020. He now just graduated from the AHL to the NHL, and he's looking like a good, solid 3rd pair defenseman, right? Like, so we're starting to see these guys. They actually got, speaking of 7th round pick, I got to hype up the Red Wings in this case. They got Emmett Finney. Have you heard of him?
Couldn't tie up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, get ready. I'll tell you. Emmett Finney he signed his ELC last year. Emmett Finney right now he was in WHL. He's going to Grand Rapids now. He just got called up to do a pro tryout with the Kamloops Blazers as a 19-year-old. He's a captain, by the way, 7th round pick, 84 points, 55 games. I mean,
that's really good.
He's phenomenal. And again, captain material. Again, leadership is a huge thing when the Yzerman always talks about it being, a good leader and everything. So that was like one of those ones where I'm like, that's sick. Love to see that. And so there is this tipping point where Red Wings are starting to break out, and it's coming. It just takes a long time. And I guess I'm gonna hit you with this last question before we hit the break. When you think of a rebuild, so I did a video, it was last year, talking about the different types of rebuilds. You have the tear it downs like San Jose and Chicago. You have the big buyouts that Minnesota did, a rebuild, right? Where they were kind of bad, but they had those huge cap hits. Nashville just trying to do this flip around where they paid a ton. Calgary, you guys sold a good chunk with Like I'm surprised you guys didn't sell Rasmus Anderson, but we'll talk about that after the break. But to me, like there's different types of rebuilds, and when Red Wings did this big rebuild, and we're seeing with Chicago where it's dreadful, like where he's having a hard, Connor Bedard's having a hard time, and you know they bought a bunch, and it's hard. So when you think of a rebuild, when you do think of a full teardown, I mean, what in your head is your timeline that a rebuild should take for a fan base?
It's tough because there's a lot of different scenarios out there, right? Because there's different teams that are just in different places, right? Like with San Jose, like it took them a long time to get to that point where they are kind of fully rebuilding, right? Where you go all the way back to that cup run from the Joe Thornton years, and then it takes a while to like, okay, we're now getting rid of Pavelski, and then we're getting rid of Meyer, and then we're getting rid of Hurdle, and it just takes time to, because you want to get the right package at the end of the day, and then Carlson as well too, right? So it takes a while to kind of get those guys out and then lay flat, right? And then you'll start to see, like with San Jose, it's still going to take them a long time, right? But it's different situations, and there's different types of rebuilds, right? And it all comes from performance, right? Take San Jose, and I'm going to use Calgary here, not just because I'm biased, but because it's a perfect example here where, if San Jose, for all the reason, had a great, like if Askarov came in and he had a really good year, right? And he's lugging and dragging this team close to a playoff spot, well, then all of a sudden it moves up the timeline a little bit, right? And I think for Calgary too, it's the same sort of sense where it just moves up the timeline a little bit because you want to take advantage of good goaltending from, prospects who are all of a sudden flourishing that you wouldn't think of and are doing, leaps and bounds above everything. And, that's when you move up the process a little bit. So, you can have a plan, but plans change on a dime, right?
Sure.
And it's all based on performance. So, you look at Minnesota and when they had to get rid of some of their cap, right? They still believe that by getting rid of that, they could still get better because of the system that they had in place with the guys that they were bringing in or bringing up from their prospect pool. So different situations, but a lot of it is based on performance. So it goes from a year-to-year basis. And I really don't believe there is a timeline, right? You have to kind of take the hits as they go. You take the seasons as they go, and you try to plan for the future as much as possible. But you have to see year by year how it all plays out.
Yeah. Well, so and the mindset that I've always had is what Ken Holland talked about as he was leaving Detroit, is that it takes usually 6 to 8 years for a full rebuild, and even upwards of 10. Like I'm looking at the way Pittsburgh's doing it, and I'm like, they might be able to do it in 3 or 4, right? Because they are starting to make some smart moves and everything. But like I mean, and by the way, we're just ending the 6th year of Yzerman. He had to get rid of bad contracts, buy out guys, trade guys, like bring in, and the prospect pool was bare, right? Ken Holland left him with Dylan Larkin, a 9th overall pick in Rasmussen, who honestly he should have gone late round, right? Like late first round, and like another third liner. Like he didn't leave him with much. And so I'm kind of like, okay, like that's where I see like the way that like Calgary's doing. I think you guys are doing it proper. And speaking of Calgary, we're going to hit them right after this break. So stay tuned after this quick DraftKings reading. It might not feel like it, but spring is right around the corner. You know how you can tell? Golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk about. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is. Get in on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through the closing round Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. And if you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick up something simple like a golfer to win the tourney and make your pick. It's just that easy. Now we got some tournaments coming up. We got the Puerto Rico Open, the Players Championship, the Valspar Championship, the Texas Children's Houston Open. Maybe you can bet versus Stefan Jaeger to win. Maybe a little Scotty Scheffler or a little Bryce Garnett. Whatever it is, you can get in on the action. And here's something special for first timers. New to DraftKings customers, bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boo Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. And we are back and talking about the Calgary Flames. So, talk to you about the Calgary Flames. I'm so excited for you guys. I think the way you guys are doing, you guys is would you call it a rebuild or a retool? I guess what do you call it? Because it feels more like a retool than it does a rebuild.
Right now, it's a retool for sure. Yeah, it's a retool because it's been the emergence of Dustin Wolf, and now you basically put yourself into this window for the next 8 years now, right? Where he's going to be your guy. Like, I don't think anybody is really, I don't think anybody understands truly. And obviously, because we're out West and you don't get a lot of action, but whenever he rolls into town to different places, the kid is special. And I'm shocked. And again, bias here a little bit, but still, like, for me, he should be the Calder winner this year. Like, he is one of the biggest reasons why we're in a playoff spot for a team that's 32nd in goal scoring. So, I like it. I like the fact that you now have this window here of these next 8 years where they'll be able to extend them here this offseason. Coronado's broken out a little bit this year, which has been really good to see. Connor Zary's kind of molding into his own, and it's a good pool as well. I know we'll get into that a little bit, but it's definitely a retool, and you got to kind of work around it a little bit.
Yeah, so well, let's stick on Wolf just because you just mentioned him. Calder, I mean, I don't disagree that you take over the starting job on a team that is not at the bottom. Like, that's huge, right? I mean, Celebrini looks phenomenal. I think Lane Hudson's done a great job. I think the fact that even though Lane Hudson's highs on offense are there, I think the defense lacks too much to say, hey, it should go to him. Celebrini looks like an overall really rounded, well done player. I think he's gonna start to break out. I think he's been a real bright spot on this team. I'm so jealous. I think he seems like such a good vibes guy.
Yeah.
And I look at Dustin Wolf, just like, again, he's really started to break out. I mean, he's got a 911 save percentage, 15 goals save above expected, and really, and a guy that I thought was going to be losing the starting job to Dan Vladar. Is absolutely just taking it by the reins. Played 43 games already so far this season. Taking a huge. I mean, he is absolutely a 1A starter goalie in this league.
Yeah, so. And that's it, right? I mean, he is going to, even going forward too, when you look at the league, right? It's a 2 goalie system regardless, right? Where you're going to get a guy to play 50 to 60 games, and you need a somewhat good backup option, obviously, right? So it's kind of molded into that. But when we look at the Calder, like Celebrini, I'm not doubting that. Like, he's been great. But look where the Sharks are, right? And I don't think he's going to probably get a lot of looks, to be honest, at the Calder, even though he's had a good year. It's nothing that's been eye-opening. And then you look at Lane Hudson. Yeah, it's a ton of assists. Like, and I thought he's done really well for the Canadiens, but with Montreal, the reason why they're at where they're at is because they're getting contributions from everybody, right? Especially when Patrick Laine came back. So they're getting contributions everywhere. With Calgary, it's really the fact that they've had to play this one-dimensional style where they need to play a defensive performance. They need to keep games low and tight for them to win games, and that's just how they've been doing it all year. And that goes a lot on the shoulders of Dustin Wolf. So, and a big reason why they've kind of put themselves in this sort of position to maybe compete for a playoff spot. Even if they don't make it this year, it's still a resounding success. And even if Flames fans want to admit it or not. To be in this situation, like, to the fact that we wouldn't even think that we'd even be close to this year, and to play meaningful games in the way they've rattled off the last 4 games in a row, it's been really, really special to see, and it's something to build off of. And now you have a foundation that you can work around.
No, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'm looking at with Calgary. I'm like, okay, you have some good offense to come that is in there with Connor Zary, Coronado. I mean, you guys did a nice little trade with Kuzmenko, picking up Morgan Frost, and I can't remember
Joel Farabee. Yeah.
Farabee. Yep. So, and those guys, I mean, Frost is one of those, it's funny. I was saying, because that was one of the issues is you guys had a center issue. And that's kind of where I said, I was trying to offer up the Joe Veleno, who, got traded to the Chicago Blackhawks. I was like, they're looking for like a middle of the ice or center that can play a 2-way game. Veleno can, and so that's where I'm like, okay, dude, like, why not him? So like, and I actually did a proposal of like trade proposal of like trading Veleno to you guys, and I was like, this kind of makes sense, and I try and do it fair. I realize that everyone's a homer, they overvalue their own prospects and everything, but I'm like, okay, like, how can we do this to make it fair, right? Like, can we
Sure.
like, and I was thinking about 1-for-1s too, like, hey, this isn't working out here and this isn't working out here. Oh, I think it was Kuzmenko. I was trying to take on Kuzmenko because I think they were going to move on from anyways. Veleno had this year and next year. So, and I have a real issue with Tarasenko not performing, and I think he needs a Russian. I'm so hard pressed on this that like there's cultures within. I mean, there's cultures within teams. We talk about this with Rantanen, right? Like the reason that Colorado sent him to Carolina is like, oh, there's a huge Finnish culture, right? Like, and there's also that's there in Dallas and Florida, which is why he ended up in Dallas, right? Detroit is such a Swedish culture it's like, hey, we need to like, and you become a Russian guy, like it's like he's gonna feel out of his element. He should be with Washington, with the Flyers, with someone that has a little more of a Russian presence. And so, I guess in your opinion, what do you think is Calgary's culture? And because I mean, it's easy to say Canadian. I'm looking at all the flags, and you got Michael Granlund, your captain, being a Swede. You got a Czechia. I see, plenty of Canadians, of course. But like, what do you feel is some of the culture that you guys embody in that sense?
It shifted when Daryl Sutter was out the door because the vibes were low. Everything was low. Everything was kind of like doom and gloom. And it was under this kind of military mindset system where Ryan Husk was able to come in, and really ever since Craig Conroy came in as well, too, the entire culture has changed in the sense that it's a community. It's a big community. It's a family, but it's also a business at the end of the day, which is that kind of understanding, right? And especially when Peltier was dealt involved in that Frost and Farabee deal, a lot of fans were upset about it, but you have to look at the upside, and these guys are still fairly young, and they're leaps and bounds beyond what Peltier, could maybe potentially be one day, and we still don't know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's different in the sense that, it's a great collection of guys, and, it's important to just kind of have like a easy mindset a little bit when these guys are able to show up to work and be happy, right? And that's just where it is, right? And it's a land really of opportunity as well for a lot of the young guys coming up, and it's definitely changed ever since Daryl Sutter left, and they kind of need to keep that, and it's only going to keep growing with this new arena coming in. Like, it's, from what I've been reading, it's supposed to be spectacular, right?
Top of the line,
and
yeah.
it's top of the line. It's something that they're really looking forward to, and it's only going to get better in terms of the culture, and I think that's what guys are really excited about, and that's why guys want to sign long term, especially with this new arena coming in and it being apparently remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I got two more questions,
Sure.
and then I'll let you get out of here. So, do they trade Rasmus Anderson, or do they make him captain? In my opinion, I think they sign him long term, make him captain, and then we'll talk about what you're most excited about with the prospects coming up. So let's start with Rasmus Anderson.
I've been back and forth on it all year. I think if it were me, I think you have to deal him.
Okay.
You have to deal him because he's a right shot. If he's on the right side of the defenseman, you got Zane Parekh, who is also on the right side as well. Mackenzie Weegar, who plays on the right side. So the problem with Parekh coming in is you don't want to start him on the third line. You want to make sure he's going to get some value, right?
Power play and everything.
And maybe he comes in on the third line or something, but you want to make sure you're prepared to kind of deal with him next, right? I can see. I don't think they find a way to extend him this offseason. I think they find a way to get rid of him, and you're selling him at still a pretty high value. And you can go out and be very specific and say that there's no limitations to where he can go, and go out and get instead of these first round picks and blah blah blah, you can go out and search for a young center, which is what they need. So that if that's to help you answer your first one, would I hate it if he signed long term? No, it depends how long he is. He's going to be 30, so you can't look at anything more than 5 years because of his age. So I would be cautious of that. I would maybe if they end up signing him for maybe the next 2 more years, I'd be okay with that. And then the other part to your question, yeah, the prospect pool is exciting. Being up in Sudbury, Ontario, I'm excited because I get to watch two Flames prospects high up on the pool. They're playing against each other in the playoffs coming up. So you have Henry Mews for the Sudbury Wolves, and you have Jacob Battaglia for the Kingston Frontenacs.
I heard an interview with Jacob Battaglia and everything, and so I love that. Love that it's working out.
Yeah,
really well.
and as well too, I think Andrew Basha, who plays out west. I saw him one time, which was really neat when we were out there. But yeah, I get to watch Mews and Battaglia coming up, and Battaglia's had a really great year. Henry Mews was dealt halfway through the year for a crap ton of draft picks to Sudbury, and watching Mews, he's reminding me of Quinn Hughes in the sense that he is I'm not saying like the style of play and
Yeah.
the meaning I mean behind it is that he reminds me of a guy that can quarterback a power play, right? He kind of takes command a little bit in the sense that he's able to dictate play, right?
Okay.
That's the way I see it with him. And for Battaglia, to see him racking up the amount of goals that he has this year already for Kingston is really impressive to see. And now he's going to get under the spotlight again here come playoff time. And I just want to see him play well. But the last draft, the draft that we had last year was really successful, and we're really excited to see a lot of these guys come into play here, and a lot of really good prospects and still some good picks coming up.
I'm looking at him. Jacob Battaglia currently 90 points in 68 games. Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been really good for him. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you got is Luke Misa Michael Misa's brother?
Yes.
I mean, and look at Luke Misa's got 85 points in 67 games. Yep. He's with the trying to see where he's the Brampton Steelhead. So I mean, you guys got some exciting players. I mean, I think, and again, you talk about Henry Mews, 82 points, 68 games, man. That's phenomenal. Like, good for you guys. I'm like I said, I'll and since the Canadian teams, I'm a Winnipeg Jets hater. I don't know why. I can't like them.
Sure.
And so it's even Ottawa. I just no one. Yeah. Toronto, I kind of get, but like I also hate Toronto. But I have a love-hate with them. It's like most Leaf fans, I guess.
In the same boat.
Yeah. Although Connor Hellebuyck, my brother played against him in high school. That's awesome. Because he grew up right around. He grew up. I went to the same high school around here. So, but I'll let you get going, man. I appreciate you jumping on the pod. You want to tell me where people can find you, man?
Yeah, we're just doing Flamescast recording later today, myself and Neil. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram, but mainly just kind of running THPN most of the time. So, make sure to check us out on the website and all of our great shows, including this one and much more.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, man. Like I said, well, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks a lot, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you later.
All right. Bye.